Welcome back. Russia says it will intensify its airstrikes against targets in Syria. That's according to Russian state media. The Russian Defense Ministry said its air force bombed 9 ISIS positions near the terror group's capital in Raqqa on Saturday. That's the 4th straight day of airstrikes. But some members of the international community continue to accuse Moscow of attacking the Syrian opposition forces and civilians instead of fighting ISIS. For more on the airstrikes, we turn to CNN's Phil Black. He joins us now live from Moscow. Phil, Russia claims that these airstrikes have been very successful against ISIS. What exactly are they striking?
Well, they say they've been incredibly effective, Lynda. More than 4 days of strikes now, more than 50 targets, they say. And they argue that this is really degrading the terrorists, that's the word they use, combat potential on the ground. They've released a new target list today. Again, they're all military targets, as we've come to expect. Fuel and armament depots, command posts and so forth. They've released new video as well of some of those strikes in Idlib province. This, again, is that controversial territory sort of to the west of the country where the United States and its allies believe that ISIS is not really the focus of the attacks that are taking place here. But Russia insists that it is, as I say, insists that it is degrading their ability to operate. And more than that, says that it is causing real panic and even desertion on the battlefield. Some of the more recent Russian claims, well, it says that some 600 fighters on the ground have abandoned their positions and are fleeing and apparently, according to Russia, making their way to Europe. But Russia has not revealed how it knows these travel plans, how it knows that these fighters in these numbers are apparently joining that stream of migrants trying to get to Europe and safety there. Lynda.
And earlier today, the British Prime Minister David Cameron pointed out that he said that most of the strikes that Russia have made are not targeting areas that are under the control of ISIS. What can we make of the fear that Russia is simply trying to prop up the Assad regime?
So that is the consistent international assessment of Russia and its, the US and its allies like the UK and so forth, that, yeah, Russia is going after those groups, those fighters which are a threat to the regime itself and not ISIS. And the reason why the United States and its allies are so concerned about this is because they believe that the Syrian regime is at the centre of this, is the core reason for all the instability, all the chaos, all the death and the suffering that has taken place in this country over the last few years, whereas the Russian assessment is diametrically opposed to that. Russia believes that the Assad regime is effectively the answer. As they say publicly, they argue that the Assad regime, its military forces, are the best possible alternative and obstacle to extremist groups and terrorist groups taking over the rest of the country. Now, of course, there is a great deal of assessment about why else this could potentially be in Russia's interests. Practically, from an international principled point of view, Russia also argues that it's wrong for the international community to try and determine who should be the leader of a sovereign state. That's an issue indeed for the Syrian people themselves. That's what Russia argues. But a common assessment is that Syria allows Russia as well to maintain not just a foothold in Syria, but of course the Middle East as well. And so for that reason, Russia continues to support the Syrian president, regardless of the criticisms and the very strong language like that which you're hearing from David Cameron there, and the deaths and suffering that he is accused of causing and so forth.
OK, we'll have to leave it there for now. Phil Black, reporting from Moscow, thanks very much for your analysis.